This meeting is being recorded.
All right, welcome everyone. So this is a new year, so happy new year to everyone. This is our first class. So for every Tuesday this year, as much as I can, we'll just interchange a wellness lifestyle class with a oil using gifts of the earth class. So we'll talk about oils or blends or a product, and then we'll talk about the body parts, to help people learn how to use the oils, but also learn and understand their body as well. So join me every week, Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central Time. So just keep that time on your calendar, and whenever the time changes, it'll adapt and adjust to the changes. So Australians, that's Wednesday for you, but just keep it US Central Standard Time, 7 p.m. and you'll know sometimes it's going to be 10, I think, a.m. Sometimes it's noon. So right now I think it's noon for you, so shouldn't be too bad because it's 2 changes a year, I think. Yeah, so anyways, join me and invite your friends, guys. All right. Okay, so does anybody have any questions before we get started? I had a special request because it's winter time in Australia, in the US, and in Australia it's not as hot as it used to be, and people here are getting the cold and the flu and all sorts of things, and so they had a request to talk about the lungs. So let's do it today. All right, and feel free to jump in. Okay, you can find this information in my book here, and you can find my book on Amazon, my website, Lulu. You can get a Spiral, and on Kindle. All right, so we want to learn what the lungs is teaching us. Okay, our body is constantly teaching us information, so it's a different way to approach health. But once you understand how to read your body, it's very liberating. Okay, yeah, so I'll teach you the skills to take care of your body. But before we jump in there, I just wanted to establish some foundations. Remember that healing is a natural result of wholeness. Okay, so that's what we're trying to strive for, is wholeness. Okay, so healing is more than just an absence of pain. Okay, we don't just want to symptom manage. You really want to approach health in all the levels. Okay, so to permanently heal, we must learn the divine lessons of love. So that is currently presented to us. So whatever it is that we're presented with, let's try to learn those lessons. Wholeness is a total alignment of the mind, body, and spirit to our divine source and path. You know when you feel whole, you feel at peace. There's no conflict, right, in your body and mind. And I like saying this, and I know Debbie Westcott likes saying this too. The body doesn't lie. So what that means is, sometimes when we resolve an issue, right, we think, oh, I'm good, I did it, fixed, done. But if it's still there and there's some things residual, then just know that, hang on, there might be something else, right, that I need to work on, because the body will keep on giving you feedback. And, you think, right. But after a couple of attempts and, looking at things at different angles, one day it'll heal, and you'll think, wow, I did it, made it, and I didn't realize there was so many layers to this. Right, so sometimes it's quick and sometimes it's not. So just be patient with yourself, okay? But know that your body can heal, okay? And there's lots of scriptures in the Bible that talk about, wholeness, okay? Arise, thy faith has made thee whole, not that treatment and not this and that. It's just thy faith. You're able to master the elements inside your body. So that's the foundation. Anybody want to say anything, add anything to this? Okay, so remember, it's not just like the bugs, the viruses or the whatever. because you can be in the same space as people who are coughing and stuff, and you may not catch stuff, right? So I've had my kids, you know, all winter long, and last year and the year before, when people caught the cold and the COVID and all that, they didn't get anything, you know, and there was plenty of people that were sick around them. So, you know, there's just people who have a strong immunity, but why do they have a strong immunity? Because they have more of alignment. Okay, so that's what we want to be like. Okay, it's not, we're not just the victim to this thing and someone coughed on us and suddenly we're going to get sick. Okay, our body knows how to push things out and heal. All right, so feel free to raise your hands and have a chat with me. Sometimes I feel like I'm just talking to myself. Okay, guys, as we start this, we like to start with symptom management, because, you know, we need to take the edge off and the discomfort off so that we can have the mental space to kind of, and the heart space to heal ourselves, okay, on the other levels. So here are my faves. Breathe. In Australia, it's Easy Air. So that's, you know, really simple to use. Apply it on your chest, on the bottom of your feet, on your back, okay? Put it in your hands, cup it over your nose and mouth, inhale, just breathe it in. You know, sometimes people are mistaken, you know, like lung issues for sinus issues, or they think that sinus issue is a breathing issue. It's more of a gut issue. But of course, you can use these oils for that too, okay? Like cardamom, you can drink it, and it helps the gut, but then it helps with the sinuses. And everything is connected to everything. So, you know, just kind of ask questions. Ask, hey, is this the gut? Hey, is this the lungs? And then your body will be able to tell you the answers. Okay, so Breathe, fantastic oil. I used to have asthma, and you know, ever since I discovered Breathe and what it can do, I haven't needed my inhalers, and I just haven't, you know, purchased any more for the last 12 years. So that was just so liberating. I was a little bit nervous at first, but I know my body knows how to respond to these oils much faster. Okay, and I don't have to heal twice, and I have to heal from the medications as well as from the sickness. Okay. Cardamom. Cardamom is actually an ingredient in Breathe. So is eucalyptus peppermint. But yeah, you can use it alone if you need to. Sometimes your body just wants a simple solution. Okay. So cardamom, you can use it the same way. Apply it to your chest, inhale it. And you can drink it. Okay, helps with the gut. Eucalyptus is actually a blend now. I just read a study where they discovered that eucalyptus and other essential oils similar to it, you know, might be a great potential solution for influenza. So that's interesting. But yeah, eucalyptus and peppermint the same way. Apply it to your chest. You want to apply it to the bottom of your feet too, guys. Okay, and inhale it. Put it in your diffuser. Okay. Yeah, you can. The Breathe comes in the Breathe stick, and a diluted version, which we call the Touch. Okay, and there's Breathe drops. Right. So you can put any of these oils. Lemon eucalyptus is another one that's really powerful. Put it in your diffuser. But always look up these oils because it gives you another angle to work with. Okay, so if you're trying to breathe better and your body's asking for, say, lemon eucalyptus, look up the, you know, the write-up about it, and it'll tell you more of what you need to do, like have better boundaries or whatever. So lime is another fantastic one. It helps break up old mucus. So if you have old mucus lodged in your lungs somewhere, guys, it's a great oil for that. So drink it, put it in water, make a little lime tea. Okay. So when people do lime, you can do lemon too, but lime feels like it does a better job to go deeper into the lungs and dislodge the phlegm. people start coughing up more phlegm. And that's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. Sometimes people panic because they're like, oh, this oil made me cough. But I'm like, well, you're coughing up phlegm, right? Yeah. So let's clean it out. Yeah, Debbie?
Yeah, I'll speak to that. I love lime. There was a time, I'm probably not using it every day now, but there was a time where I was using it every day. And I literally was coughing up stuff every single morning for probably a year and a half. And fortunately, I had learned a lot of these things already and was able to, kind of pray and ponder about it a little bit, because I was like, is there something wrong with me? And it was a no. It was like, this is old junk that we need to get rid of. And can you just look at it as a good thing that you're cleansing out, cleansing out your body? So it took a lot of time, and it still happens from time to time, but it's not every single day now. So
yeah, and look,
your body's doing its job.
Yeah, and look, Debbie, remember, right after that, you made some big changes in your life.
Yes.
Yeah.
Big changes. Yeah.
So it's like, shaking things up a little bit and dislodging, and then finally you're able to freely breathe in life and make changes with courage, right? Yeah. So that's so good. Thank you for sharing that. Xendocrine, sometimes people don't realize that Xendocrine is another option to help with the lungs. So you can take it internally, guys. You don't have to smell it and breathe it in. It's not one of those beautiful oils that you're like, oh, this isn't it yummy. Xendocrine is more focused on internal cleansing. But yeah, it does. It helps cleanse the lungs on the inside. Go ahead, Lisa.
Just a thought with the Xendocrine, Jade.
Yeah.
If you're going to use Xendocrine to help clean the lungs or help with the lungs, can you use it on its own, or would it work better with the Xendocrine complex, like the herbs as well? Or can you just use it on its own?
Yeah, you can use it on its own. Yeah, the complex is fantastic on a different level. I feel like, the complex is really good for when you do the detoxing. Yeah. Because it kind of helps you not feel cramping, and it kind of balances things up a little bit. But yeah, you can just use Xendocrine on its own.
So could I look at it this way, just because I'm, in my mind?
Yeah, no, I love these
works
questions.
a bit different. Yeah. So I could, in trying to explain to someone, you could say the Xendocrine oil is really good for actually getting deep within the cell to clean it out within the lungs, and then the complex kind of like grabs it all once it's out and then helps to eliminate from the body. Would that be a good way?
That's a good way to explain it. Yeah. Okay. I really like Xendocrine, both the Xendocrine oil and the complex. I use it just about every day, just a little bit every day, because I know that my family, my dad doesn't have so much a lung problem. I used to have the asthma, nobody else did, but then he has the kidneys. And so I felt like this is the generational stuff. I just want to keep maintaining it. So I use it pretty much daily, for myself at least. Yeah. And I find that it helps with the endocrine system. And I am the few people in my family that don't have thyroid issues. That is, very, very obvious. So yeah, I think it's helping. Go on, Sandra.
Yes, I found Xendocrine really cleared up my lungs. Definitely. That happened in the last 30-day cleanse and restore. I do them regularly, but the last one was very powerful. And what happened, Jade, this was quite interesting. This little residues really came out, particularly on the back where my lungs were located, but also in the front. And I think it was a body's way of getting rid of toxin, and it happened for the whole 4 weeks. They actually got them quite rough, and it flared up. And as soon as I stopped the cleanse, it would heal off. But as a result, I could breathe in life, which I never could. I could never. I look fit and slim, but as soon as I would walk or exercise or even just walking with someone and talking, I was out of breath. I could never take a deep breath. And I wasn't at the end of my energy, but I just couldn't breathe. And so next time I play tennis with my friends, they go like, Sandra, you're not huffing and puffing. And I go like, no, I can breathe. And I kept going. Now I can go for a brisk walk with my friends and I can chat. And I could never do that. I had to do a slow walk and then I could talk. And when I would walk fast, I didn't get air. And yes, I think I take Sanko-Decrone regularly, but it was then with the herbs together in the cleanse, it really cleared it out.
Yeah, I love that. That's a great story.
Had it since childhood, and I probably know why it started in childhood, not to be able to breathe through in life.
Yeah, because of all the limitations that the family. Yeah. Oh, I love that. Thank you so much. I remember I was like that a lot, and I feel like I'm a lot better, but I'm sure I've got a long way to go. But yeah, I was huffing and puffing very quickly too. Lisa, go ahead.
Oh, thank you, Sandra, for that, because I've just had a little revelation here because like you, Jade, I used to have asthma quite badly and I no longer have that issue, which is good. But at the same time, I grew up in a household with smokers. And I'm like you, Sandra, I can't walk, like I'm always out of breath, it seems, when, to exercise and things like that. So I've just found what you've said quite amazing. Like, that's probably, maybe it's a bit of fear-based too, of being trapped in the car while smoking and things like that from my past with my parents, or being in an environment where I couldn't escape from to be able to breathe properly. So it could be more of that emotional thing as well, but physically, definitely I'm going to pay a bit more attention to this, because I can really see how that relates to me. So thank you for that.
Yeah, that's so good, Lisa. I relate to that too. I remember my grandpa smoking and we hung out with him a lot, and then Dad picked it up because everyone else was doing it, and then he dropped it because it wasn't him. But I just remember being a kid just surrounded by smoke and stuff, and starting to cough, and yeah, I think that it's just all of those years it's dislodged all that. But yeah. So besides Zendocrine, we have two more oils that I really like to use for the lungs, and that's cypress and melissa. So you can blend some of these oils, guys. I could do cypress and lime, and then maybe eucalyptus in there. Just put a blend of these in your diffusers. Okay, put a blend of them on your feet. Put cotton socks on. Right, try them out. Cypress helps. Things flow more. Sometimes when we're stressed, we don't realize that we have this shallow breath, and then these oils kind of like tell us to pause and take deeper breaths and slower breaths. Melissa, I can't tell you how many times that Melissa's made people cry. Sometimes people have grief and they're really good at holding it in, and just bucking up and moving on with life. But Melissa says, stop, like open that door and feel this feeling. And sometimes people are like, what am I doing? Why am I crying? I don't know why I'm crying in front of you. I never cry, or whatever it is. They just like cry. So Melissa is a very good oil for the lungs, because it kind of helps, invites them to release grief. What you can do is put Melissa on your thumb and put your thumb in the roof of your mouth where the soft part is, really in the back of your throat. And then just hold it there for a minute. And then just breathe it in. Okay, it doesn't taste very good. It's kind of hot, but it smells lemony. But then it really helps, in your brain. It makes this association that, you're allowed to open up. You're allowed to face your grief. Okay, so there's another oil there. It's a little bit expensive, but it really helps. Yeah, so put it in your diffusers. I put the humidifier here So if you have an humidifier, you could put it in with humidifier as well, especially during winter time. So it's, you know, really good for the family. Keep the diffusers going all winter, okay? Keep your family strong. All right. Okay, so the bottom of your feet, you know, the ball of the feet around that area, okay, massage that. If you have lung issues, you know, that spot might feel sore, just keep applying oils all over and then wear cotton socks, okay? And then just let the oil soak into your body. Okay, so any questions on that? That's very straightforward, I think. Go ahead, Lisa.
Yep. What about on top of your foot, just in front of your toes? Is that the bronchial tubes along there? So that would be a good spot too, would it? As well as on the bottom?
Debbie, do you want to answer that?
I was just thinking, so what do we call? Well, in foot zoning, kind of the slang, as I call them, the ditches, the space between
Mhm.
the toes. I wish I could show you. Like, I want to put my foot up here and show you. Anyway, yeah, I would say yes, that would work as well.
Yeah.
That but really that pad of the foot at the top, on the bottom of the foot, the top pad just underneath the toes, that whole pad is like your lung area.
Yeah.
But up on the top where those little ditches are, like if you followed the ditch between your big toe and your next toe,
Mhm.
and then the same thing all the way across, those are all areas where we like when I do foot zone therapy and I kind of massage there, because it releases toxins. It's part of the endocrine system. So
it's like the interphalangeal area.
yeah. Yep.
Yeah, that's so good to know. Thank you so much, Debbie. Well, that's easy peasy. I hope you guys do that. All right, so let's talk about lungs on the emotional and spiritual level, okay? Lung issues relate to your ability to take in life. Are you living life fully? Have you been able to fully grieve your griefs and move on? Are you living below your privilege and potential? Do you notice yourself taking shallow breaths? So many people that have healed their lungs, also at the same time, they've healed their life, okay, or they're healing their life. And you can see the correlation, okay? They can testify to you that life is better, life has changed for them, okay? And that their lungs are better too, okay? But we need to face our griefs and feel it all the way and then resolve it, okay? It's not beyond our ability to heal, okay? It's not too difficult. Sometimes people tell me, they're like, well, that's easier said than done. How do I do that? Right? And we work through it, okay? And it can be done, you guys. The lungs' main job is to move fresh air or oxygen into the body while removing waste gases. When the air is breathed in, the air is brought to the proper body temperature and moisturized at the right humidity level for your body. The lungs play a part in many other functions, including regulating the acidity of the body. Your lungs protect your body from harmful substance by coughing, sneezing, filtering, and swallowing. So sometimes when people, you know, smell the oils or, you know, they have a big breath of breathe and they're like, you know, and they're like, oh my gosh. And I'm all, no, it's a good thing. It's just helping you clean out your lungs, okay? It's dislodging something. So, and the mucus, it just traps the you know, harmful substances, keeps it from hurting you, okay? So just blow your nose. So there is mucus in the lungs to support the immune response through trapping irritants in your airway and helping your body expel them through coughing. This helps protect you from infections. Okay, anybody want to say anything to this? It's just kind of understanding your body better. Yeah. Okay, the respiratory system, which the lungs are the main player of, also supports your sense of smell, which connects directly to your limbic system. So your limbic system is part of the brain that is involved in behavior and emotional responses. These behavioral responses include the need for survival, feeding, reproduction, and caring for the young, and fight or flight. So you can see that whenever you panic, right, sometimes, you know, we can trigger like asthma attacks and things, right? But when you're a lot happier and calmer, our body doesn't overreact like that. Okay, so you can also look at the limbic system in the book as well and read more. So the aromas we smell can awaken emotional memories. This is why it is important to understand the power of aroma. We can use it to access memories of the past to resolve grief. And that's why I'm like, no, it's not beyond our ability. You know, sometimes the oils come up and then we say, you know, what does this emotion mean to you, and where does this take you? And sometimes it's like, oh, this reminds me of my grandma when she passed. It was so sad, and you know, I was only this age or whatever. Yeah, we can also intentionally create new memories utilizing the connective powers of the aroma and behaviors. Okay, so we get to do that association or reassociation. Okay, if that makes sense, guys. Yep. Take the time to resolve emotions of grief, loss, sadness, and sorrows as soon as possible, even if it's in your childhood, guys. Okay, so if you have stuff in your childhood that you haven't resolved, you know, when you were a teenager, when you were rejected or whatever, resolve that now. Okay, I had a lady, yeah, she just didn't have memories. She said no memories of her childhood. It was all, you know, blocked or something. But with the oils, it helped her kind of recall, you know, as she was explaining herself, and suddenly, you know, the memories came back. Okay, those files opened up again, and it needs to be resolved. Okay, so it may be the very thing that has been holding you back or blocking you from living life fully. Like you don't know why you hold yourself back, and you know, your memories will help you figure out what to do. Healing old griefs may help the lungs dislodge old phlegm. So you know, maybe it's like the chicken or the egg thing. So you know, maybe you were working on something and then it dislodged phlegm, and then the phlegm that's dislodged because you're drinking some oils help you kind of start working on those memories. Okay. So since the respiratory system and the limbic system are so tied together, you can see why unresolved grief can affect our eating habits and other behaviors too. Okay, so when we release old energy patterns, we make room for creation of new energy for life. Feel free to feel those emotions fully. Let it teach you lessons of love and allow it to pass through you. That's the key, you guys. Sometimes we're afraid to feel feels. So we really need to face it and feel it all the way. If it's anger, if it's any sort of sadness or grief, we need to face it, okay? And you know, you're strong enough, you can handle it. Sometimes you might have to sob like a baby, right? An ugly cry, whatever. Just do it, you'll be fine. Sometimes people are afraid of feeling their feelings fully because they're afraid that those feelings would intensify. With a positive, faith-filled perspective of learning lessons of divine love, you can have hope that there is joy, relief, peace, and happiness on the other side of grief and sorrows. So there's your promise, okay? Feel those feels, and you'll have the more positive emotions afterwards, okay? Be wise and turn your pains you had into your passions. Turn the depth of your sorrows into the equal height of your joys. Does anyone want to say anything? Okay. Lisa, go ahead.
Wow, there's so much to absorb there and take in and so forth. But just a couple of things as I was listening. It's very interesting because when people have grief, a lot of people will either suppress that to try to be brave and whatnot, as you say, or feel that it'll be uncontrolled sort of thing. And then a lot of people have a lot of with that pain comes anger and bitterness, resentment, all those sort of negative feelings and so forth, but they're real, they're there. And because we've got that inbuilt justice within us that it's wrong, it's not right. And we don't want to have to experience it. And it makes me interesting how people, like you said, can really just sob quietly and get it all out, but other people want to yell and scream and just, they do it quite intensely like that. And it's all of it is a release. It's just interesting how you say that the lungs are an organ that expel, to get rid of, and sometimes our way of verbalizing or expressing that comes out in that way, but it's the same thing as in we've got to get rid of it. Our body's trying to get rid of it in some way, and we've got to be open to allowing that to come out and not suppress it, because I'm probably one who sadness and things makes me angry, so I've got to learn to be more vulnerable and get that out, but in a productive way, if you know what I mean, or in a better way, rather than I don't want to give it the space. But I was just redoing my quotes on the wall, and one of them was give less space to the hurt. And I guess that's one way we can do it. To give less space, we have to actually get rid of it out of our heart and our lungs, if you know what I mean. So anyway, interesting thoughts that are buzzing around in my head.
No, I love it. Love that you're pondering over that. No, we do need to give it the space, exactly like what you said, at the appropriate time, so you can, find this time and the space to do that. Sometimes when, not sometimes, many times when we don't resolve our own hurt, we take it out on others, right? And so we need to kind of be careful there. And there's hurts and pains and anger that we don't realize is in there sometimes. So we just kind of have to, even if you have a good friend that you can feel safe talking about. I remember a friend, in Australia, she's like an amazing Reiki person. But she kind of like helped me when I was starting this journey of healing. And she's like, okay, can you retell your story? And I'm all, that's not much. I mean, this is what happened. And she's like, no, I want you to break it down. And I want you to tell me, step by step by step. And I thought, okay, sure. And then I got to the point where I was like hiding in the boat as we escaped, and you had to be quiet so that people don't hear us, and then people don't shoot at us. And she's like, okay, pause. She's like, Jade, what did you do? What did you do to be quiet when you're a 2-year-old? I said, I think I held my breath. And as soon as I said that, my eyes started watering, and then I started crying and crying. And then I said, prior to that, I was being quiet in the forest, and I had to be quiet even when this one lady threatened my brother's life. And she's like, okay, so how did you feel? And I'm like, I don't know. And she's like, ask yourself, how did you feel? And so I thought, okay, let's pause. How did I feel? And then I'm like, I actually feel really angry right now. And she's like, good. And she's like, punch this bag, punch this ball. And, it's like one of those yoga bouncy balls. And then she's like, shout and yell and stuff. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like that is just not me. But she's like, come on, Jade, you can do it. And I was like, okay. So like I just threw a tantrum. And then I felt better, and I thought, I don't know that was in there. Like, thanks for helping me. Oh my goodness. But any little thing that you could find, it helps dislodge and helps you, receive greater, life and air. So So other emotions that the lungs hold are defensiveness, self-abuse, because we punish ourselves. And that's why we hold on to the pain. And sometimes we remind other people of their mistakes and their pain, how they've, wronged us or whatever, to punish them. Okay. And that's the lungs. Okay. So inability to receive love, or fear of letting go. If I let go of this pain, what if there's more pain? Right. It's just a silly way, our subconscious reasons, right? So explore the root causes of these emotions. Use the fear and faith guide that I have. All right. What are your thoughts and beliefs that have created those emotions? Could it be that you have interpreted the difficult situations of your life as evidence that you don't deserve joy and love? And, you know, if we believe that we don't deserve joy and love, it could explain why we subconsciously allow ourselves to be unnecessarily tolerant of living in low vibrations and drama. Okay, so we're just kind of have to explore all that. And sometimes that's why we hold on to those pains and the self-abuse. Okay, according to the Chinese medicine, the lungs are associated with a metal element. The optimal time to support the lungs is 3 to 5 a.m. So should be asleep by then, okay, according to the Chinese internal meridian body clock. That is the best time for the lungs to rest and repair. So if you could sleep through that time, that'd be great. Put the diffuser on. It is extremely important to be in deep sleep at that time to improve lung health. If you are waking up from your sleep at that time, then detox, you know, Zendocrine and stuff, right, and heal the lungs on all levels. Diffuse respiratory supportive oils throughout the day to support the lungs. The metal element also represents living life more righteously, virtuously, structured, and disciplined. So there's another aspect to that. Okay, make a decision to be righteous, virtuous, divinely structured, and disciplined. Okay, divinely structured means your structure is according to the inspiration you get from God. Okay, not because the world expects it from you. In other words, be disciplined. Being disciplined is honoring your own boundaries and having integrity for your own happiness. Do not let other people determine your life and joy. You get to determine your own degree of happiness. These metal element virtues are taken to, when these metal element virtues are taken too far, people can be self-righteous, domineering, oppressive, strict, too picky, and fussy. Can you see how self-righteousness limits our intake of more divine gems of life that God has prepared for us? Are we too strict or restrictive of ourselves and others that we don't have room to breathe? Okay. Being too picky or fussy can limit your ability to experience more possible joys in life. Yes, that's where we have each other to help remind ourselves to balance and not take things too seriously. So choose to be more liberated and breathe in life and divine love deeply. Allow yourself to be more balanced in the metal element virtues and having more passion, spontaneity, and social interactions. There's a lot to ponder here, I know. But yeah, you know, sometimes people have lung issues all their life. So because there's so much that is stored in there. Okay. Sometimes we let other people decide on who we are. So for example, my friend, she messed up when she was younger, and you know, people say that she's a naughty kid, and she has not decided that she was a good person, right? So, you know, when you haven't decided, you let other people tell you who you are, you know, you did bad, therefore you're a bad person. Then you're constantly fighting against that inside of you, right? Instead of saying, actually, let me check in with God. You know, God says, no, you're a good person. And then you say, okay, I've decided that I'm a good person and good people do these things, right? And then you start living a more righteous and happy life. All right. Anybody want to say anything? There's a lot to the lungs. And, you know, winter time, it is a little bit more restrictive. Like we can't go outside sometimes because of the weather and whatnot. And then also winter time is a time that you rest more and relax more, okay? And, you know, if you want to continue to be as productive as you were in the other seasons, it's sort of like pushing against the nature. And sometimes, you know, you're sad that you can't do all that, be all that, but really we have to kind of accept the different seasons and live in those seasons. Okay. All right. So negative emotional energy to release, feeling limited, grief, inability to take in life, fear of letting go, discouragement, rejection. So rejection of yourself, you know, sadness, sorrow, loss, defensiveness, bored, vulnerable, inability to receive, and then self-abuse. You know, breathing, taking in and dispelling, right? So not being able to take in the love. Yeah. Anybody want to say anything, comment on that?
Yeah, I actually just had a session today with a gal about that, well, what you just said, the exact thing, inability to take in love. So she's a type 1. She's super fun and wants to have parties and go do stuff all the time, and which she does, but her body speaks way louder than what she hopes to be doing all the time, and our body is hurting and breaking down.
Yeah.
And so she, what we talked about today, she's a giver. She gives and gives and gives and gives and gives and serves other people, and she doesn't always she doesn't take time to really intentionally nurture herself, and even like feed herself. She will like wait until she's starving or whatever, you know, and doesn't really take the time to give herself attention. And rarely does she say no to other people when she just feels compelled to serve all the time. And we talked about that today, and it kind of came through that her serving, although her intent is good, it's turned into kind of like a buffer, like a way to numb her own self from healing, because her heart is broken.
Yeah.
And she hasn't surrendered all of that. So anyway, but it was beautiful, and we opened a door for her. Her healing wasn't complete today, but she sees some light. She sees what she can start working on. So
Yeah.
it was a beautiful experience.
Yeah, that's so good. Yeah, we need somebody to help us kind of balance, because our body is saying no, our mind's saying this, but yeah, we just need to take the messages and really know, because you like, how much is too much? You know, like I'm serving, I'm supposed to serve, and you know, who gets to say how much is too much? Like your body will tell you there's that balance. Okay, so you're just a little bit too much over here, and your body will tell you when you're right, when you got it right. Yeah. Thank you for sharing, Debbie.
Wow, I'll jump in. How are you, Jade?
Hi, good. Yeah.
I don't have to work today, so I'm on. I can so relate to that. That was me, Debbie. Just give and give and serve and do, and it was killing me.
Yeah.
I was a wreck before I did energy balancing with Jade and all the healing with the oils. And my life's totally changed now. And I still have to be careful. I've still got to not take on too much, because I just love to be involved. And yeah.
So Lucy, are you a type 1
always
as
had
well?
back problems, and I think I'm more type 2. I think it worked out.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So there's just the love and the nurturing, and just want people to feel happy and nurtured all the time. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. Lisa, go
So,
ahead.
come a long way.
You did. Well done, Lucy. I'm so proud of you. Yeah, I've seen it. Go ahead, Lucy.
Just a quick question. What's the type 1 and type 2 thing you're talking about?
Oh, yeah.
I was just thinking about that we should have clarified that.
Yeah, there's a book called The Child Whisperer, and this lady, she types people into 4 major groups. It's not a personality thing. It's sort of like their main value, and it's just a natural tendency, and then you can help understand people and why they make the decisions they make. So like a type 1 person, their greatest value is to have joy. So, you know, sometimes people go through, you know, great lengths and, you know, hardship and whatever, you know, to have fun. People do Ironman.
Because they're so they're
Yeah,
chasing the joy.
Yeah.
Trying to, yeah, I get you. Yeah.
So they do
All right.
that. And so, you know, that's their
Yep.
greatest thing. And so somebody else that's a type 2, like Lucy, is like, why do you go through all that? You know, you know, but some people rock climb and they just do whatever because it's like fun. They don't mind the energy and effort. You know, so type 2 is nurturing. And if anybody is just slightly uncomfortable, you jump in and you mother them and you just love them. And so when you understand,
Yeah. I get you. Yeah. Oh,
know,
I have to get this book. Sounds fascinating.
we love it because when we understand ourselves, we accept ourselves more. And you know, so then you've got the 3, which is like fire, and they run and they're passion and they just do stuff. Then you have the 4, which is refining. And sometimes, you know, like for me, I'm a 4. I feel like, can I just shut up? You know, why do I have to like add another piece to that and go, oh, we can do this, we can do this better, and you know, and I will, shh, other people don't do that, don't. And then now I'm like, hey, it's okay, because you know that's my strength, and I can share that with people, you know, in a balanced way.
So you understand the behavior and then the emotions behind the behavior.
Yeah, we just
fascinating.
understand ourselves, and that's the idea. If we understand each other, we can help each other be better. So with, you know, Debbie is my friend. Sometimes I'm like, Debbie, you know, that's you needing to take care of people, because sometimes if they're a different type to you, they don't mind the discomfort. And you're like, oh, you know, I just want you to be happy and fed and, you know, warm. And, you know, and it's like, don't worry, Debbie, they will be fine. So we help each other, you know.
Yeah, help keep that balance with it all when you understand.
Yeah.
It's a bit like knowing what your strengths and weaknesses are, isn't it? And then, you know, keeping them in balance and in check. Yeah, or just the awareness of them and stuff. Interesting.
Yeah, it really helps. Nora, go ahead.
Yeah, I have had kind of a hard time with helping, like over helping and over thinking and over just over reading things into what people might need, and just spend a lot of time in my head trying to figure out what they need and stuff, and working, always saying yes and never saying no. And I finally, you know, through the energy balancing and studying and learning different principles like love thy neighbor as thyself, I had to realize that I had to love my dreams. I had to help me the way I want to help others, you know. So it was a real kind of aha moment to know that the reason why a lot of times I was so unhappy is because I was happy helping others, but somehow I just kept pushing myself aside. And so even though I really enjoy helping other people, if I want to have happiness in my heart, know that I'm progressing, I had to be a helper to myself.
Yeah.
You know,
I love that.
just really pay attention to, you know, what I need to do for me. It's so easy to see what other people need.
Yeah,
and that's when, you know, that relationship with Heavenly Father comes into play, because he's like, well, you need to do this, Nora.
Yeah.
So let's do that.
Yeah. One of the things that we talked about today with this beautiful lady is that sometimes we rob other people of the experiences that will help them grow when we step in and just try and fix things. And that was that was a huge eye opener for her.
Yeah, because you take it on. Yeah, and I'm really proud of you, Nora, for finding that balance. And it really shows, because your family and your friends, they take that example, and they're changing too. So that influence is rippling out. So yeah,
Yeah.
well done. Yeah, and Lucy and you know, a lot of you guys have shared. Yeah, well done. So here's some possible thoughts and beliefs to release, guys. Life is the negative thoughts and beliefs to release. Life is filled with sorrows and grief. I can't cry. Crying is a sign of weakness, right? People need to be controlled. You know, my life is monotonous and dull. Life is overwhelming. I can't handle the chaos and confusion. Okay, so that's, oh, there's another one. I am not happy until, you know, this happens, that happens. It's like a condition, right? And I'm sick every winter, you know, or spring or whatever. It's just the limitation. Every time the spring happens and I get this whatever allergy, whatever. So yeah, when we have these thoughts and we keep on continuing these programs, of course, we're going to experience lung issues, right? Yeah, imagine saying that life is filled with sorrows all the time, or life is bitter, right? Well, people need to be controlled. I've had people say that before, you know, like people don't know what they're doing, so I have to tell them what to do. Yeah, and here are all these rules, more rules, more rules. Yeah. Okay, so, you know, we need to identify what the subconscious thoughts and beliefs are, and then release it and change it. Okay, you know, pray about it, and then, you know, whatever inspiration you get, use that and change it. Okay, and you'll find the physical body heals much faster. Anybody want to speak to this? So positive emotional energy to adopt: righteous, calm, self-approval, virtuous, structured, justice, trust, reliability, commitment, discernment, consistency, receiving gratefully, and disciplined. You know, maybe you weren't like this before, but you can choose to be that and become that now, right? And maybe people who don't know what calm looks like, or, you know, this commitment looks like, they might think, hey, you know, you're fake, or, you know, who are you? But it doesn't matter. You know, who you've become is who you've become. You know, commit to that, and you only answer to God anyways. You don't need to, you know, if they don't understand that, that's fine. Okay. Yeah. Right. Sometimes people say, oh, you're so too good to be true, you know, you must be faking. No, don't worry about that. Right. Decide on who you want to be and just work on that, focus on that. Affirmations and new enlightened thoughts and beliefs. Okay, I easily release grief and sorrow. I can trust and rely on myself and others. I unattach my happiness from the outcome. That's a big one. So sometimes we just need to pause and not push things too much. Okay, and just say, if it turns out great, if it doesn't turn out okay, I'm going to be okay with that. But hopefully it goes this way. But then, you know, I've already decided that it's going to be okay, right? I live every moment of life to the fullest with joy and zest. Can I just say, sometimes we forget that we have control over our life. So sometimes, like, people extend their pains and punishment of others or of themselves, or grief, because they're like, because I love so much, I need to grieve so long, right? But if you think of your life book, I tell people, pretend that there is a book that's, you know, written about your life, okay, and you get to read it, okay, later at the end of your life or whatever, in heaven or whatever, okay, whatever you believe. Imagine the chapters filled with sorrow and grief. Boring, 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 flip, 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 still boring, still boring. You see what I mean? Or can we say, here's an experience, here's how I figured it out, here's how I, you know, released it, resolved it. Here's how I created joy. Okay. So I'm like, I don't want to waste my life with, you know, filling it up with grief and sorrow. You see what I mean? The grief and sorrow will happen, and it needs to happen to give you a greater capacity for joy. right? But allow it to help you, you know, create the capacity, but then fill it up with joy. Yeah. I choose to have faith, take risks, and trust in the process. Yeah. I know many of you have changed a lot, and you know, now that you know, you're doing more of this, you're taking risks more, you're trusting more. You know, me too. We grow and learn together, you know, as we heal. Okay. So, guys, for those people who don't know, the Energy Balancing with Faith course is available right now, and it's going to restart at the beginning of February. So you can join now and start reading through the material. We'll be discussing it together, you know, week by week, starting in February. So it's on my website, and there's the link, and you can be a part of this community where we help each other heal and continue healing. Okay. So let's end here by taking action. Okay, in what ways can you take in life more fully? Okay, you will know, because things that make you hold your breath and limit you, I would like this, but can't do that. Okay, and you can say, pause. Why can't I? Why is that a limitation? Okay, why am I boxing myself in? Right, and there, that's how you can change. Another example you guys can jump into is, like, for me, I'm like, why do I have to have allergies? You know? So, you know, I'm like, I don't want to suffer allergies, right? So
Listening to Jade's training on lungs and doing some church paperwork.
Okay, so Sandy, let's meet
Yeah,
you.
I'm sorry. What's up?
Sorry, let's see this. Yeah, guys. Other ways. Sometimes, like, people say, "Well, I can't eat this. I can't eat that. I can't." Right? Like, I used to do that, and it's like, wait, why can't I? You know, maybe it's not too healthy, but you know, I'm not going to let this thing hurt me. Eggs, cheese, why? Right? So for me, I had to figure out, hang on, I get to live life more fully. I get to go places, enjoy parties. Yeah. So for me, if it makes sense, I think I can, you know, have a little bit of that, and my body will flush it out. So just kind of find out where you're limiting yourself. Does anybody have any examples of how you let yourself have, you know, live life more fully? I had a friend that's like, oh, I can't travel and I don't have the money for it. And I said, well, how much does it cost to go there? And she's like, I don't know. And I'm like, well, find out. Right. And she's like, oh, from here to New York, it's this much. And I'm like, okay. And is that doable? And she's like, actually, it is. Duh, you know, oh, because you limited yourself. You didn't know that you could do it. Okay. It's so many simple things. Go ahead, Lisa.
I'm working through this at the moment, and one of my goals for this year is, sometimes we think we need such a big piece of time or a chunk of time to be able to accomplish something, and because we can't find that amount that we think that it takes, we then think we're limited or we won't be able to do it. So I'm trying to go, well, even if I just do a little bit and I don't get it finished or whatever, just do it. Like, there's no reason why I'm limiting myself. So if hypothetically, I'll give a quick example of I want to do more artwork this year, because I find that very therapeutic for me, because I'm creative, and I keep putting it off because I think, oh, I've got I need more time to get it right, or to spend more time in it to do a good job and the way I want. And instead of just going, well, I'll just have a little play with it today, you know, and then I'm not limiting myself. I've got to achieve that for myself. So just setting those smaller goals in able to do that is helping me, you know, bring more joy into my life, because that's something that I want to be able to do, rather than keep putting it off, because I think it's only I only think, perceive it wrong, that I don't have the time, but I've just got to create the time for it.
Yeah, I love that. That's a very good example. Like, play. oh no, I have to work first. I have to do this first. And then you would never get a chance to do any play, huh? Debbie, do you want to share?
This is one of the things I love helping people with the most. I think because I was challenged with this the most is I'm quite serious, and I like to make sure I have all my ducks in a row and all the things done. At least I used to. And like, you know, the house clean and blah, 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 all of those things. And my responsibilities all taken care of. And that is all well and good, but I wasn't making room for the things that bring me joy. And what I realized is that the joy needs to be scheduled first. And because that's what this life is about. And God will maximize your time and help you figure out where to put the other things. But the joy needs to come first.
Yeah. And you know what that
and
is?
it's like, I'm sorry.
Go.
I just, sometimes we ask and then we stop there. Like your story that you were talking about, the lady, she didn't even know how much it costs to get there.
Yeah.
We ask or we wonder and ponder and stuff, but then we stop there and we don't do the seeking and the knocking, right? And he
Yeah.
says, ask, seek, knock. So
Yeah.
finish the system.
Yeah. Yeah.
The pattern.
Yeah. No, I was just going to say you're following your heart, because if your heart's yearning for joy and you're like, no, not now, work first, right? You're not accessing God, because you can feel him in your heart, and he can say, well, here's how you do it better, right? So let's play and relax, and suddenly your work can be simplified when you get to it. You can do it so much faster than you realize you needed. It's not as much time as you needed. But then also, sometimes things are done for you. When you come back to your list, it's like, hang on, I don't have to do 5 of these things. Like, oh, that wasn't necessary anymore. And it's like brilliant, because the Lord shows us, hey, you followed your heart, you did what you needed to do, and here's you allowing me to take part in your life. And it's so beautiful. And even mums that are listening and at home, you're like, no, but the dishes need to be done, and in the house. Sometimes you say, look, mommy needs a break, I need to play. You're teaching your children to balance. And there's times that they step up, many times that they can step up and participate in the things that needs to be done. And so, you've taught them to balance their life. So many good things, that's why we meet weekly, we share with each other. So guys, having joy first, it's not an irresponsible thing. It's a faith promoting thing. Okay. It's practicing feeling joy and feeling God in your heart. Yeah.
It's that joy that actually gives you energy.
That's
It
right.
motivates you.
That's
Without
right.
it, you just feel sucked dry.
Yeah. And you don't have a personality. You're just somebody's mom, you're just somebody's whatever.
And your creative juices go out the window.
Yeah, exactly. All your creative juices. That's right. So here the question is, how can you let go of grief quicker? Because I know that sometimes we have this limitation of there's so much pain and I need to grieve and keep grieving. What would you do or think to help you grieve sooner, quicker, release, let go? It needs to be grieved, of course, it doesn't need time. But maybe it's not as, necessary to grieve too long. Lisa?
Yeah, I was going to pick up on in those, the other bit you said, it was number 3. It was interesting because sometimes we think, oh, right, I'll deal with this now and I'll get all the grief out and then I'll be right. And, that's not realistic. And I think that's where we have to remember it takes time, it takes patience. Everyone, the way they release their grief or deal with it or move through it is going to be different for everyone.
Right.
And I think that having that wrong expectation of, okay, I'll just do it now, get rid of it, and then I'll be fine. We just have to realise that it is a process.
Yeah.
And we think we might be fine for a while, then all of a sudden, like you say, a memory could trigger something, or another little event could trigger the grief that we felt, or the pain, or a similar feeling of that same pain again, and different things. So I think the answer to that question would be, when it comes up again, learn to deal with it at the time, and understand and work out what the right process is for you. So it's not just quicker, it's just you're going to help yourself deal with it a lot better, and it probably won't last as long, those feelings of grief, if you know what I mean, or kind of thing. Does that make sense?
No, I feel it. What you're saying is, process it, give yourself time to process it, right? And I think the word is probably that's more accurate, is more effective. How do we let go of grief more effectively, right? Because as it arises, then you can focus on resolving it.
More effective.
Yeah. And then that way it resolves itself quicker, instead of suppressing it, or just releasing grief in a inappropriate way. So like we said earlier, people who have pains, and if it's unresolved, sometimes we take it out on others. So I think I'll change that word to more effective. So that's really good. But we just need to be courageous and face the grief, and just allow ourselves to release it and resolve it. So good. Well, thank you guys. That was just really good. Love the discussions. I think anything else that you guys want to share before we end here?
I was just going to say, that's why I love the energy balancing, because when I'm dealing with stuff, that's my go-to. Okay, let's try, because sometimes it's not what I think. And it's a lot deeper, and you think, whoa, okay, I get it.
Yeah, it kind of it helps you explore things that you didn't realize was there. But then what you're good at for when we do the energy balancing, it teaches us to be objective. So it's not so it's us against the problem, and it's not like us being the problem, right? So that's how you can say, hey, okay, I got this issue, and then you dig into it and you're like, oh, and there's this other thing too that I didn't realize was there. But it doesn't mean that you're a bad person or anything. You're just being objective and resolving it that way. Yeah, that's so good. Thank you so much, Lucy. Anybody else want to share? There's a lot to do with the lungs, and especially this time, winter time for the US people. People have colds and stuff. They need to kind of learn how to heal their lungs. Okay, I'm going to stop the recording. If you feel like you want to share, go ahead. Okay.